We are expecting some big announcements in the flight simulator world this week, with many developers and hardware manufacturers expecting to announce projects and products over at the Flight Sim Expo Weekend. In the lead up to the expo, we're covering all of this week's flight sim news, so let's jump into the video. Kicking off this week's previews and release news, pilots released their trailer for the in-development de Havilland DHC-7. Last time we heard from the team about the project, they mentioned that the project was moving to its closing stages. This project is a joint development between pilots and SimWorks Studios, and at this stage we don't know the current release date, price or feature list, but the team did announce over on the video trailer that the de Havilland will be available soon. In some interesting updates this week, the High Performance Group suspended the sale of the 747 Supertanker. The announcement only came a few days after the release of the Supertanker, and it was announced over on their Twitter page that the suspension of the sale is effective immediately. The aircraft is currently not available to purchase anymore on their website, and customers that have purchased the aircraft who would like a refund can request from the High Performance Group by contacting them directly. The team at this stage have not provided any reasons for the suspension, but they did mention a follow-up announcement will be available very soon. Got Friends, the team behind the very well-received Wooga, has updated us on one of their other projects, which is the Double Ender. This time around, the team showcased the MPV-50P system, which is an interactive management display system. These displays allow you to track your engine, manifold and cylinder temperatures, as well as other performance areas in the aircraft such as fuel, oil, battery and a whole lot more. The displays not only show the aircraft performance, but you can manage the aircraft configurations, the wear and tear, and place the double ender even into a workshop for much needed TLC. Realism and wear and tear has been built into the double ender as a core feature of the aircraft, and the Got Friends team hope to release the double ender within the next 30 days for both PC and Xbox via the InSim Marketplace store and over on their own website. Before we jump into this week's release news, if you're enjoying the video so far, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't done so to stay up with all the flight sim news. Thank you to Simbit World Pilot's Life Chapter 2 for sponsoring this video. A Pilot's Life Chapter 2 simulates the career of a commercial airline pilot by generating your schedules, tracking your scores for your flights, and rewarding weekly according to your contract type and much more. Pilot's Life provides a reason to fly in the sim from A to B while improving your skills as an airliner pilot, and depending on how good your scores are, you can progress throughout your airliner career to higher tier airliners and purchase more aircraft license. With over 575 airliners and over 280,000 real up-to-date routes, each flight and contract will have you experience the virtual airliner career globally, living a pilot's life. A pilot's life will work across all types of flight sim platforms, including a Microsoft Flight Simulator, X-Plane, P3D, and even FSX. Links in the description are where you can pick up your copy of Pilot's Life, and we thank them for sponsoring this video. Kicking off this week's release news, Orbex this week have released its most anticipated airport in recent times, which is Melbourne International Airport. The airport is also known as Tullamarine Airport, and it's the primary airport that serves the city of Melbourne and is located 12 miles northeast of the city. Melbourne Airport serves around 70 plus destinations around the globe, with its longest being Melbourne to Dallas Fort Worth in the USA. The airport is the second busiest airport in the country passenger-wise, and it is a hub for many airlines such as Jetstar, Rex Airlines, Virgin Australia and Qantas, just to mention some of the Aussie ones. Features included in the release is a detailed version of the airport reflecting the layout as up to May 2023. PBR textures used throughout the airport. Interior terminals have been modelled, custom taxiway signs, hundreds of hand-placed clutter, customer POIs of the area, included GSX profiles, VDGS system and custom traffic animations, and you can pick up your copy of Melbourne International Airport directly from the Orbex store. I'll leave a link in the description below. The next release for the week comes from the team over at RDP Presets as they released their next airport, which is Faro Airport. Faro Airport serves the city of Faro in Portugal and is located 4 kilometers from the city centre. The airport handles up to 9 million passengers a year with 22 stands and 16 of these which are remote. This airport can handle up to 9 million passengers a year. It has 22 stands, which 16 of these are remote. Many different airliners use this airport as a destination, including Aer Lingus, Air France, EasyJet, Ryanair, just to mention a few. Features included with the release is custom modeling with PBR textures used throughout the airport, full 3D interior, more than 1,000 clutter objects on the apron, realistic functions, VDGSs, accurate night lighting, custom taxi signage, and you can pick up your copy of RDP presets Furrow directly from their store. I'll leave a link in the description below. Navigraph this week released a new feature on their Charts 8 product. This time the team has introduced weather layers. The team mentions this provides real-time weather information directly into their chart app. The update provides a whole array of layers that can be selected, such as radar, air segment, CWAs, wind bars, and convective cloud layers. You can now see real-time aerodrome reports for METARs, identify regions and potential turbulence, understand potential icing conditions. You can see visually precipitation and much more. Weather is a major part of aviation and flight planning, and this really appears to be a great addition to the Navigraph chart series. To gain access to the weather layers of the chart series from Navigraph, you need a Navigraph subscription. I'll leave a link in the description of where you can go and check that out. Moving on to this week's sim update news, the Microsoft team this week released the second city update series, this time being France. In this update, we saw 5 city updates to celebrate the Paris Air Show, and the updates included the Paris Le Brulot. Hopefully I said that correctly. I think I butchered it. Airport, which is Lima Foxtrot Papa Bravo, both in a standard and also a festival configuration for the air show. In conjunction with the city update, we have seen the release of the 9th installment when it comes to local legend aircraft, which is the 631. The 631 was the largest flying boat in the world for several years until it was beaten by the Spruce Goose, which only flew once. The 631 first flew in November the 4th, 1942, and was still flying right through the mid-1950s, and was one of the last great trans-oceanic flying boat airliners. As always, with all the local legend aircraft, you can find yourself a copy of the 631 in the InSim Marketplace store in the simulator. You may be wondering what happened to the Aircraft and Avionics Update 2 that was meant to release this week on the 23rd of June. It has been pushed back to next week, so we should see a release for the Aircraft Avionics Update next week. The world's largest expo in flight simulation is on this weekend, and this is where you get to see the largest gathering of flight simulator developers, third-party devs, hardware manufacturers all come together in one place. If you're unlucky like me and not able to attend the event, you can still purchase a virtual ticket. This gives you access to all the live seminars and the live announcements, exclusive access and recordings to the Saturday and Sunday presentations. I'll leave a link in the description where you can check that out. I've got my ticket and I'll be watching closely. Of course, we will bring you another video over the weekend that lists all the news and latest announcements when it comes to the expo, including this week's sim update news. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't, and stay tuned for part 2 of this week's Flight Sim Expo news update edition.